Hi, I'm Angela Clark. I'm the author of Awakening from Unconscious Resentment. And what I want to talk to you today about is what happens, I just want to ask you this, what happens when we stuff our stuff down for a very, very long time? How does that happen? When things start erupting, what's going on? What do we do? What kind of actions do we find ourselves doing that we even realize that we're doing it, that we're stuffing things down? I want to talk a little bit about that today. So, obviously I know a little bit about something about resentment because I wrote about it. A whole lot of this happened in my life about a lot of things that brought a lot of rage and anger inside of me to the point where I was using words like, I feel like my blood is boiling. We kind of start in a kind of a codependent trap when we're younger, where we're not realizing it, but a lot of us were raised this way. I would say, really truthfully, I think most of America is codependent. And it just means dysfunctional relationship. It means we don't know how to be and communicate our feelings and our emotions, and it ends up getting very sick, dysfunctional, manipulative. You end up feeling rageful and stuffing all this stuff down inside after all the years. And that is what causes the explosions to start coming out. And it can come in various weird, strange forms. And one of them that I wanted to talk about today was the art of using the silent, being silent, refusing to speak, giving people the silent treatment, that kind of thing. Really uncomfortable for people to be around that. And many people use that tool very, very well, and it's very painful, especially when it's coming from your mate or your parent, and you have to live in that every day and day in and day out. Because you guys, we all want to feel important. We all want to feel like that our feelings matter. And when you live in a codependent family, a lot of times you're not allowed to express those feelings. Like when you're younger, you learn that a child is to be seen but not heard. So even as a young child, you learn that your feelings don't matter, that they don't count, and that you should shut up and keep your mouth shut. You're not important. So that kind of thing is kind of the start of it, really. You typically will have controlling parents who maybe that they're being controlled. Kind of in my situation, that's how it was. My parents were being controlled in a very destructive religion, and then they used that controlling mechanism on all of us kids. They controlled all of us, and it was very frustrating, of course, but we didn't know any better. It's just the way things have always been. So I wanted to talk about a couple of different things that kind of go on. Let's just say in your household that you grew up in, you're worried about what everyone thinks. Sorry, that's my dryer. To a very intense degree, you feel that you're worried about what everyone thinks. The pastor, the church, the people at your work, your children, your mate, I don't know, you name it. You worry about what everyone thinks. And so then you're trying to please, and you're giving more than you should, and the next thing you know, you're giving to the point that you don't really even want to give anymore. I remember my husband and I's daughter, she was such a big-time giver. She'd give anything she got that was really cool and really valuable, she would give that away, and then it came the time that she didn't want to give anything away anymore. And what happened there? Does it mean she's not giving anymore? No, she simply gave away and didn't save anything for herself. She didn't watch out for herself. She didn't take care of herself. And we have to give, and we have to also take care of our own selves. We have to give and we have to receive, not just give. So it gets really messed up. And so we start stuffing this stuff down. In my life, something that also brought me down was because my parents also were told to shut up and put up in the religion that they were in. They weren't allowed to express those feelings of not liking something that was being said or done, or decisions that were made, or ways of believing a certain way, and they had questions, but they weren't allowed to express that. If they did, then they got booted out of this church. So that somehow managed to get into my regular life, not my religious life, where my feelings were not real. They were inaccurate. My mom would say black is white and white is black. In other words, what you're saying is not what's going on here. And it jacked with my head enough that I started not trusting what was in my mind, in my heart, what I saw. And I happen to have kind of an intuitive type nature naturally. And so that got shut down in a real strong and powerful way. But she was having that done to her, and so was my father. So we were told to deny what we thought and felt and saw. That also builds up rage and anger and resentment. My grandmother, she wasn't even the religion that I was raised in at all. Yet she had some similar things going on, like in the codependency. You don't hold back and say, I'm sorry, but you know what, that's abusive and that's not okay with me, and I'm not going to be talking to you as much for a while. I'm not okay with that. I'm not sure I'm going to deal with it, but I want to back off from my relationship with you right now because that's not okay. I did that one time to my father. I was pretty upset. And my grandmother called me and she says, Angela, you have not forgiven your father and you're going to go to hell. And I'm like, Grandma, my God. She's always adored me, been so kind and loving. She's really sweet. She's funny. But that was not allowed. You're not allowed to, do those kind of things. She says, in this family, we forgive and we forget. And it meant that you just kind of let a little time go by and then not much either. And then you just go on as if nothing ever happened. You just shove it under the rug and then you forget about it. That's what was expected from my grandmother, who was not even religious, but obviously she had some sort of idea about God, and that was one of the things that we were not allowed to do, was to take control in some way and to protect ourselves some way. We had no rights. And so even now, my father was upset about some things, and he'd been holding it in for years, literally. And then he finally just came all out with it, and it was this most nasty, horrible, vile, oh my gosh, where did this come from kind of a thing. And I'm like, that is not okay with me. And if you do it now, you're going to do it again, and you're going to do it again. And I'm like, no, until I can understand what was going on in your mind and your heart, we are not going to do this anymore. And you know what? It's been already a couple months, it feels like, and nothing's coming forth. He's not going to apologize. And what am I going to do? You know what? I'll tell you what I told my dad. I said, we are not going to shove this under the rug this time, Dad. I know what Grandma taught, but that is not going to go on anymore. We're going to talk about this. We're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to discuss it. We're going to find out where it came from, all of that. And until we do, we're not going to keep on having conversation. So I guess he's content to not have conversation with me anymore. It's gone on in other parts of my family. It's the way it is. So it gets very, very dysfunctional. And you can really harbor a lot of this frustration and hurt because you don't speak up. And the thing is that I feel good that I stood up for me because my feelings matter, and the way that I'm treated matters because it goes into the other parts of my life when I allow it. I don't allow it. I don't allow it in my life at all. Not in my marriage, not in my work, not anywhere. And so I learned that, and it was not fun. It wasn't easy to learn that, but I feel good now inside, and that's the important part. I honor myself, and I told my dad that I have more respect for myself, and I'm not going to allow this in my life. And anyway, my family, of course, are not with me on this. They don't see it that way. They think I'm just crazy. But I don't really care because I feel good in my life now. I stand up. I stop things right when they're going on. Like, whoa. Why did you just speak to me that way? What's going on? Why that deep, sharp way of saying it? Why that hint of resentment? What's going on? And I get to the bottom of it. It's really important that we do that. Because again, if we don't, the currents of rage and anger start festering and like a volcano. And next thing you know, I don't know, divorce in your family, and then brothers and sisters, everybody's erupting all over the place like a volcano, screaming and yelling and kicking, all kinds of things going on, even when you're a kid. And then you get married, and some of the same things are going on in your marriage. Some of the same habits are like my husband, my first husband, it was like, we don't discuss our problems. Just like in my family growing up, we don't sit down at the dinner table. We don't discuss our issues. We just stuff it and we forget it. We pretend it's not there, and we put on the happy family facade that we're the happiest family in the world, and the well-mannered and all this to the world, and no one knows underneath it all, we have this stuff going on. You can't see it from the outside, but it comes boiling out when like divorce happens or something like that. So in my marriage, we're not allowed to disagree at all. No one, at any point. My kids not allowed to fight. It was stopped immediately. It was not allowed. Oh my gosh, did that ever cause problems? We've got to communicate this stuff, or it will ruin us. It will ruin everything. It will eventually come out. So when it boils down, you can't sustain this stuff forever. So it boils down, and again, it came again, it came from childhood, from domineering and controlling adult role models, okay? So you learn to attune to everyone else's needs at the expense of your own. That's where it gets messed up, see? So you're sacrificing your own needs for everyone else and not saving anything for yourself whatsoever. I'm going to give you a case in point. There's a woman that Dan and I, husband and wife, that we went down to Arizona and worked with. And oh my gosh, I mean, the guy thought he's happily married and everything. And his wife was just seething. And she even kind of expressed a few things to me, but he was absolutely clueless that anything was wrong at all. And so he asked her to go do something for this work that we were doing, and so she went in the bathroom, shut the door, did it in silence, was not wanting to talk to anyone. He asked her to go, every day she has to go get the kids. She's the one, 2 hours worth of driving every single day, sit and wait. I mean, she just was seething with rage because no one cared about her needs, and nothing mattered about what she wanted. No, there was no time left for her. It was just give, and nothing coming back. And he didn't see it. She didn't really seem to be able to acknowledge that everything wasn't okay. It was like you're just living on autopilot. And it's so hard to see it because you could feel it in the room. You could feel it, and when they were around us, when they took us to their church, and you could feel it. Oh, it was horrible. I felt so bad. So it was kind of like she was saying, "Oh, really? Now you're going to ask me to do that?" But she wouldn't say it. She wouldn't say no. Just do and seethe and seethe and seethe. You guys, guess what? That makes us physically sick. It can cause cancer, disease, all kinds of disease. You can't do it. You just can't do it. So obviously our goal is that we want to be sacrificing and living with a sacrificing attitude, a giving, serving attitude. Yes, we all want that, absolutely, but not at our own expense, not when we don't matter anymore, not when there's no value left for yourself because you just feel like you're just put upon by everyone. You do it at work, you do it at home, you do it with your husband, you do it, and wherever you go, you're just giving and not receiving, not taking time out for self-care at all. That is dysfunctional living, okay? So when you stuff things down for a really, really long time, here's one of the things, and that's what I'm going to talk about today, is we start using the silent treatment. And this lady, Ann M., in this book called How to Stop Controlling Others, Letting Go of the Need to Control. Ann M. is the lady that tells this story. So she was accused of being controlling by everyone in this meeting. And they said, you controlled everyone in this meeting from the moment we sat down. You're controlling everyone in this room, and we've had it. We're not going to tolerate this anymore. And she's like, what? What have I done? And so it all came out because, and so she realized when she went home that, yeah, I've been really upset because they've been just putting everything on me as if I'm just the workplace doormat, and if there's something to be done, I have to go do it on my own time. And she was just seething. She was fuming mad because they'd asked her to go pick up somebody at the airport and they're always putting everything on her. Oh, sure, yeah, I'll do it. And so she goes to this meeting just seething mad because I don't want to do another dang thing for you people. I'm so sick of you putting it upon me and taking advantage of me. But she would never say it. Instead, she just sat in the meeting. You could feel it coming out of her body. They said you're controlling this whole room by just your smile on your face. And they were like, enough, you're controlling. And what is up? So anyway, she had to face this and realize, oh my gosh, I'm controlling this whole room by my silence and the energy that went with it, this emotion that was coming out of her body that everyone could feel. And so, and then if it gets worse, if we don't get to the bottom of the erupting stuff, again, I told you you're going to get sick, number one, number two, and then also you're going to forget how to communicate your emotions, even if you wanted to. So you get so used to this way of being, not dealing with it, that you're just stuffing it so much that you really get out of touch with yourself. You're out of touch with your own emotions. You don't know how to communicate them. I don't know, maybe some people have never even learned how to communicate them. And if they ever have, they got in big time trouble for it, slapped around, beaten up. I don't know. But these are some of the things that we do because we have no other control. So it's a way that we can control by being silent. It's really, it can be very, very sick and very nasty. We stop even being aware that we're even upset. We get so used to being silent. We'll just, we don't even really have awareness of what's going on in our own head about things. We just learn to, if I'm kind of a little bit mad because you didn't do everything I wanted or you didn't treat me the way that I thought you should have treated me, then you just give them the silent treatment. It's a way of punishing. And it's so awful. I mean, imagine you come home from work and your wife's really mad. She's seething mad at you, but you have no clue what you did at all. No communication. She just is completely ignoring that you even exist. And you can feel it too. You can feel the anger in the way that she moves, and you can't hide this stuff. And so you just back away and, okay, well, I'll just go watch TV, or and you just feel this nervous tension in your body because this person's controlling the very house. You just want to go back to work, honestly. And so this becomes like a frozen. When you're upset and you're not aware of what's really going on, you're not able to express it, and all you know how to do is do silent treatment, and you're just kind of doing it on autopilot anymore, then you become actually like frozen, numb. You're in denial. Sometimes you're even in trauma because you're so seething, mad, and angry. So two things are happening. The person who's doing the silent treatment is being abusive and controlling, but they're also very upset and they don't know how to communicate their feelings, and they're being abused and they're being put upon and taken advantage of. The other person has no clue because it's never discussed. There's no feelings or discussion going on. They're not having any kind of regular meetings or sharing their feelings. And so they're kind of this sick communication going on where this one guy is doing the taking advantage and putting upon and not considering and not giving back and not serving back or saying thank you or anything. And then the other person is just beating the heck out of you for it with the silent treatment and other ways. Today I want to talk about the silent treatment. It's a nasty, nasty thing that we do to each other when we're really sick. So if this is happening to you right now, then know that it is 6 dysfunctional ways of communicating, that what needs to happen is we need to begin to speak out what hurts. And if you can't do that and you're going to be beat up for it, then guess what? You need to start making plans to go get some help, maybe to get into a shelter. You might need to start considering a divorce, separation, until it gets straightened out. Because you can't live like that. It'll just keep getting worse and worse. As they know, abuse always gets worse. It doesn't get better. It continues to get worse. And then your self-esteem will erode, where you feel like that you have no value. And you look like you're not being loved and taken care of. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be taken care of. You deserve to be happy. God wants you to be happy. I want you to be happy. People want you to be happy. The mate who's doing the abusing to you and taking advantage of you and putting upon you wants you to be happy. They just don't have a clue sometimes. And you have to learn how to get your voice. So to get your voice, you have to start small with that. And first of all, I would suggest going to a 12-step group. Al-Anon would be a great, it's kind of for people who have alcoholic family or drug addicted family, maybe other dysfunctions. You go to Al-Anon to learn how to communicate your feelings and learn how to not caretake in a sick way. Like in this case, the person continues to do all this work and all this, and the mate comes home and they don't know what to do but give the silent treatment. So you have to learn how to express these things, and you learn some of these sick codependent ways of being and what to do with it and how other people are dealing with it. You see what they're saying about what they're doing about it and how they're learning how to deal with the emotions and how to speak it out and what happened when they did it. You hear all of that. You could also read Codependent No More by Melody Beatty, a powerful book. I would suggest too Boundaries. In any of the Boundaries books, I forgot the one that I read, but I think they're all really good to set boundaries with people. And like, yes, I'll do this, but I won't do this, for example. So you could just say, honey, I just feel like, I'm always cooking all the meals and I clean up all the dishes. Don't you think maybe that I have, other things that I like to do? Because I'm also working, you know, I'm also working part-time, or, whatever. Even if you're working not at all, you still have to do all the housework, the laundry. You begin to feel that you're taken advantage of and you're not appreciated and no one ever thanks you. So you have to say, I don't feel thanked. I don't get thanks for any of this. I always do the dishes. I always make all the meals, and I feel resentful. I really do. I'd rather be reading a book a little bit at night before I'm exhausted at the end of the day. I'd rather be going to a dance class at least once a week. Couldn't you help me out? I feel really, really taken advantage of. And then a lot of the time they'll say, first of all, you're right, and I am so sorry. And you deserve to have some happiness in your life. And I want you to go and sign up for the dance class. I really, really do. I want you to do that. And yes, I want you to be able to read a book. And let's make it so every Friday night I do the dishes, and every Wednesday night I cook a meal, and you just sit back and you relax, or you go to that dance class or whatever. Does that sound like a fair deal? So that would be a step in the right direction. You can't just put all the eggs out. You can't put all the trash out on the table at once. You have to do it a little at a time. You want to discuss the one thing that you could discuss without completely destroying the relationship. You just can't bring it all up at once. That's not going to work. So you have to do it little by little, and you have to learn. You have to get the guts, and you got to pray sometimes for the courage to do it. And again, if you're going to be abused for doing it, you need to make some plans, because this is going to hurt you in the long run. And if you have children, they're watching everything. They're going to emulate the way you act and hook up with a guy that treats them the same way, and it has long-term effects. You can't live that way. I almost died because I didn't know these tools. So anyway, I love you guys. I hope this is good and helpful, and you can do this. You can do this. You're worth it. I hope you'll read my book, Awakening from Unconscious Resentment. It's got a subtitle to it, but at the moment I'm forgetting it. But it has to do with saboteuring yourself. Anyway, you guys get the idea. Okay, well, have a great night and a great weekend, and thank you for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.